The nonprofit leaders I often work with have great intentions. They want to be the kind of disruptors that speak up in the moment, and they want to be able to share something that is brilliant, profound, and thought provoking. Unfortunately, desire does not change when conflict shows up in meetings, which is why you're watching this video. It actually becomes a lot harder when conflict shows up in order for you to still carry out that intention of wanting to speak up in the moment, of wanting to contribute your thoughts and ideas. And so this video is going to help you with that. Hi, my name is Petra Vega. I am an anti-oppressive leadership coach who helps marginalized nonprofit leaders speak up in crucial moments in meetings, even when self-doubt may be getting in the way. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what you can do to prepare with conflict in the spirit of like, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I'm going to be sharing what you can do before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting so that you can feel more prepared to speak up in the moment, even when conflict shows up. And if you want to get started, I highly recommend that you grab my nonprofit disruptor survival toolkit in the description box below, where I share 5 tips to help you speak up in meetings without all the second guessing so that you can get your liberatory ideas heard and implemented. So the first place I want to start out with what you can do before the meeting. And the big rock, if you will. Here's the big work that I think you could always be doing, but particularly before meetings, since I know that is the activating experience for a lot of people that I work with. The big thing that you can begin to do, continue to do, is to really get familiar as to why speaking up is particularly hard for you. You might want to think about, okay, is it trauma shit? Is it neurodivergent shit? Is it the nonprofit culture shit? Is it internalized oppression? Start to unfurl and unravel what's the reason behind why speaking up is so hard for you. Maybe there's a really big negative experience you had. But if you can get clear on what the root of that and kind of the texture and the reasoning behind why speaking up is so hard for you, that's going to help you be able to be more strategic around what you can do to kind of work through that. So I'll share my personal experience. One of the reasons it was really hard for me to speak up for many years was because I often sounded like I was crying during conflict. I get very emotional, and the way that my emotions will transfer is that you'll hear a little tingle in my voice. And so, this was something that was communicated to me by a classmate. And I was like, fuck, this is definitely not the vibe that I want to communicate. I want to be seen as someone who is authoritative and can like speak clearly, And so I'm someone that's really big into quotes and affirmations. And so I found this quote in college was when I really started to reclaim my voice that says, speak even when your voice quivers, right? And so again, that piece about like, okay, what is at the root of why speaking up is hard for you, and how might you match that to a strategy to be helpful? For me, it was that, okay, for many, 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 many years, every time I speak up, it sounds like I'm crying. My voice quivers, right? And I like for a long time felt a lot of shame about that. And then I started to embrace it. Then I'm like, oh, this is just how my voice sounds right now, right? And at a different point in time, my voice is going to sound differently. And so what I did was that I taped that phrase to my laptop. And I breathed life into that. Every time that I thought about speaking up in class, I would think about that quote that was like, okay, even if my voice quivers, I'm going to speak. And so, I'm going to put some other related videos to continue to support you in thinking about like, okay, what's at the root of why speak up is hard for you? And if you grab my nonprofit disruptor survival toolkit, I'll link a whole bunch of podcasts and blog posts and other resources to kind of help you articulate that. And then the small thing that you can do that's very like a quick win is to just ask for the agenda beforehand, right? Hopefully you have meetings at your organization where people create agendas. I'm someone that people know that I'm always prepared. And so I always ask for the agenda beforehand so I can figure out, okay, where's the part that I want to speak up at? Where's the part that I'm really tuned in? Let me start thinking about what I want to offer. What are my questions about particular parts? When I do that preparation, I feel a little bit more confident when I head into that meeting. So that's some things that I recommend you doing before the meeting happens to help you feel a little bit more comfortable and feel like, okay, whatever happens, I know what kind of my game plan is. Now I want to talk through, okay, what might you do during the meeting, right? So the meeting is happening, you figured out what are the points that you want to talk to. Or there's a point that that you couldn't plan for. There's a conversation that shows up and you want to contribute something. I know that oftentimes figuring out how to get in there can be really difficult. And so one of the tips that I offer in my nonprofit disruptor survival toolkit is to develop what I describe as like the go-to interrupter phrase. I think speaking up in general and particularly during conflict can seem like double dutch. You're not really sure when it's your time to kind of jump in there. And, you might want to wait your turn, right? Kind of wait for the conversation to die down or wait for a natural pause to happen. But that might not happen, right? Like, I'm not sure about your nonprofit culture, but in nonprofits I've been in, people are kind of like waiting for the other person to stop. And so it can be kind of hard to figure out, okay, when is it my turn? Unless maybe y'all are having virtual meetings and people use the raise hand function. Otherwise, you may not know, like, okay, is it my turn? Um, and I think this will be particularly helpful for my folks who are neurodivergent because we know it can take us so long to start something, right? So I think when we have a go to interrupter phase kind of ready in our back pocket, then we don't have to waste time doing the thinking around like, okay, how do I begin? You could just say what you need to say. And so, so I think it kind of just takes the stress out of speaking up during conflict when you know what your go to interrupter phrase is. And so, it could be something like, okay, could I offer a different perspective, right? Maybe the thing that you want to say is different than what people are saying, and you want to start with that, and people are maybe gonna be like, oh my God, yes, I would love to hear what you have to say. Or you might say something like that's like, one thing that I feel like is missing from our conversation is this thing, right? Maybe there's a missing piece. A lot of the folks that I work with are fucking astute. People know what's going on and just may not have the most confidence to communicate that. And so you could use that to your advantage, right? That you're paying attention to something that probably other people aren't paying attention to. Can we bring attention to that? Can we bring light to that point? And if you're someone who's like, oh, I don't know that I want to make an assertion or a statement like that, then you could say something that's like, I'm wondering if we thought about the fact that in offering something, right? It might be too difficult for you to kind of think about, okay, here's my my stake in the grass, here's what I think about this thing. And instead you could offer it like a question, like, oh, I just wonder, have we thought about this? Have we considered this thing? That could be like a more gentle way to kind of get in there, where you're still saying what you want to say, but might be in a way that feels more easy for you. So I think that's a big piece is I want you to think about, okay, what is your go-to interrupter phrase and have that in your back pocket. Maybe that's something you want to write down, like I did with my, that phrase, speak even when your voice quivers, like I used in college. The other thing that I want you to do during this meeting is to name why you need to contribute to the conversation. So those of us that really care about the work that we're doing, that are passionate about, the programs that we lead and the people that we manage, we cannot stand by idly and witness like unfairness or injustice or dehumanization. And so I think we're already kind of like susceptible to speaking about our why. And I think when we do that, it makes our argument stronger, right? People will be more likely to listen to us once they understand, okay, why is this important to you? Why are you offering this thing in particular? And the other reason is I think, and I'd love to hear in the comments, I often have the experience where people start talking and I don't really know how to listen to what they're sharing, right? And so for me, when I offer the why, the purpose behind what I'm sharing is like a frame of reference, then I think it helps people listen with that ear. Because if not, you may just be saying something for a few minutes and then people are like, I don't really know where you're going because we didn't have that frame, right? And so I'm going to give you an example here too. So let's say that you are a nonprofit and you're making decisions about youth programming, the young people that you're working with, but you notice that there isn't any youth input, right? And so again, this is kind of you're seeing like, oh, I think we're missing something. There's a difference of opinion I have here. You might say something like, one thing that I feel like is missing from our conversation is that we are coming up with ideas for this year's youth programming, but we haven't asked for any youth input yet, right? You're just naming an observation. How could we work together to get the young people's perspective on what they would like to see and do this year, right? So again, you're naming a perspective. You're like, oh, I wonder what we can do about that. You're offering like an invitation for people to go deeper with you, and you're slowly shifting the conversation towards the direction that is necessary and important, right? Like you're in this meeting, you are someone in a leadership role, and I want to invite you to really make space to make use of that, And so in this example, you're not only speaking on behalf of like what you see and know to be true, but you're also speaking on behalf of youth voice and power. And we both really care about that to make sure that the folks that are most on the margins have a say at the table. And so, yeah, those are my two top recommendations for things for you to be doing during their meeting is, again, developing that go-to interrupter phrase so you can kind of get in there. And then before you start sharing what it is that you want to share, think about the why. Why do you want people to listen to this thing? Why do you think that it's important for people to take seriously what you're trying to say? Okay. After the meeting, you've prepared, you've had the meeting, some stuff in that meeting, you said some stuff, other people said some stuff. After the meeting, I really want you to take, how did you feel during that meeting? Your feelings and the facts. What happened, right? Like, how did people respond when you shared? How did you feel about your share? I think it's really important for us to be able to reflect after those meetings Because probably for you, if you're watching this video, this is a skill that you're in a muscle you're trying to build about tweaking up. And so the best way that we can build on that is to evaluate all of those instances, right? And sometimes you can do that alone, or if you'd like some support, I suggest getting a coach or another support person to really develop and to evaluate your efforts. Um, and I want to underline why I think this is important is because, at one point we thought that people learned by doing, right? You probably have heard that phrase. And now that we know that people learn by doing and reflecting, right? That it's like, if we want to continue to take action, if we want to continue to innovate and improve, we really need to think about, okay, what we've done and what's the meaning we make from what we've done, And it also helps us to celebrate. I don't think we celebrate enough all of the different like efforts and the way that we initiate and try to do things. And so this is also a moment to like, okay, what went well, what's something I want to do differently, and let me just celebrate that I even said anything. I think that's a big deal. And I know for me in my personal practice, having that celebration, honoring every single tiny little movement that I've made has made a big deal. Um, and I also just want to offer here, right, that like, okay, there is a difference around feelings and facts. Even though they can feel similar, and I go into this more in depth into the nonprofit disruptor survival toolkit. But feelings are subjective experiences that vary from person to person. But facts, on the other hand, are things that you can observe. Okay. And so again, you might feel like, okay, I feel like people didn't hear me. But I want to invite you to see, okay, what did I see though? Did people not hear me? Did people not engage with what I was saying? Because sometimes those things can be in contradiction, right? And that's something else to kind of work through. So I hope this was helpful. Again, I highly encourage you to grab the Nonprofit Disruptor Survival Toolkit. I offer more resources, information. It's a free tool to help you speak up in moments in meetings without all the second guessing so that you can finally get those extraordinary liberatory ideas that you have heard and implemented at your organization.